November 2014, an unforeseen tragedy changed the course of Vapor Trail. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into the weeds with that. Welcome to the Range Podcast. I'm Ricky Bruley, and with me is Jake Hollywood Iverson. Join us at the Archery Range, where we'll tell stories from the hunt, discuss technical bow shooting tactics and gear, and pick the brains of some of the most successful people to ever shoot a bow. Whether you're about to shoot that X for the win or send an arrow at a trophy buck, this podcast is for you. The Range Podcast is brought to you by Vapor Trail Archery, makers of the best bowstrings money can buy, originators of limb-driven arrow rest technology, and innovators of Stokerized stabilizer systems. All right, folks, welcome to The Range. I'm Ricky Bruley here with Jake Hollywood Iverson.
Hello.
Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us for our Genesis episode number 1, The History of Vapor Trail. In the beginning, the Fondies created VTX bowstrings and limb-driven technology. Today, we are joined by Steve Fondie, one of the original co-founders of Vapor Trail. And together, we're going to break down the history of Vapor Trail, how it started, how it would eventually lead to Steve hanging out on a beach sipping Mai Tais.
Spying on me already.
Yeah, I guess so.
How are you, man?
Doing good. Great to come back here and see you guys. Yeah, just to see what's going on. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's come a long ways.
I appreciate you coming down and hanging out with us. We don't see you near as much as I'd like to, but, again, I'm sure you're pretty busy. Lots of Mai Tais to be had.
Sitting on the beach, yeah.
Yeah. Sitting in your sauna.
Probably a frozen lake in northern Minnesota.
Hopefully.
Yeah, not staying at that cabin.
Hopefully.
Not in the wintertime.
Yeah, right? Not like Uncle Terry. Yeah. How's the family? How's Cole and Taylor? And
Kids are doing good. Taylor, she graduated a few years back, and now she's doing social media and stuff, kind of like some of the stuff you did.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then she has some clients on the side and stuff, and then, she works at a, surgery clinic where they, make women even more beautiful.
Oh, wow. All right.
Cole, he's done with his first part at Rochester. Now he's just looking to go to his extended stuff, but he's doing some work down at Rochester, being humbled.
It's crazy.
Being humbled.
My brain goes back to like when he was a little kid running around the shop, just terrorizing us all. And the time when we literally duct taped him to a chair, and we warned him, but anyway.
Yeah. And then there's one of, I just remember right in that one room right where we all worked. He had all those clamshells and stuff with all spit with string bats. Yeah. And then it sat there for like 2 days every time ears walked by.
Oh man, those are some good times. Cole's a good kid. He was a pretty normal, 10-year-old boy. That's how they are. So, but that was fun. Those are always got a ton of good stories, and hopefully we'll get into some of that here. So I'm just going to start by throwing out some poignant moments in VT history, and then we can kind of unpack that information as we go. There's a lot of information that I want to make sure I get correct, so some of this I'm going to kind of be reading for verbatim, so I apologize if it starts to sound a little robotic, but here we go. We're just going to jump right into it. So starting from the beginning, Jared Fondie, Steve's brother, started out in his basement in 1993. I believe that's correct. And it was mostly bowstrings, right?
That's all it was.
Just bowstrings. Okay.
Real basic kind of non-motorized jig or anything like that.
Hand serving.
There was
everything.
nothing. I don't even. Somebody might have had motorized back then, but I don't remember it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I can't
hand
even
serving.
imagine.
Oh, when they first came out with it was PSE, I believe, on those one cams. I think maybe they had a roller guard, but boy, that big long serving one hand. your forearms really.
I was just gonna say your hands are sore.
You got good at whipping that jig around the string, I bet.
Yep.
So, when I look back at older press releases, it says Jared was a target shooter who was frustrated with the technology back then, or lack thereof. So I don't know. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, did you have discussions with Jared about like what his idea was, or did he talk about wanting to make his own material, that kind of stuff?
Oh, at that time, no. It was he just the strings were just meant to keep the bow together. Basically,
Right.
there was no thought really put much into a string because it would, they thought stretch was good, which stretch at a point was good,
Right.
but not where it changed the dimensions of the bow and stuff. So for
Right.
the target guys, everything's got to be consistent, perfect, and stuff like that. And for Jared, yeah, he was kind of a perfectionist, and that just, he's like, I could do better.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't know, there was no YouTube back then.
Right.
I mean, we had to use books or people.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And as far as perfectionism goes, I remember one time you had I think it was on your Bowtech CPXL, there was a noise coming out of it, and you spent hours trying to figure out what that noise was. And I think you figured it out. But that's just one point. I mean, but the same thing goes for even just the product, the limb driver, everything. Man, we tightened that thing up as best we possibly could. You know what I mean? Heading over to Ted's and taking off a schmidge.
Right.
I remember Ted always going, "What? Oh, Jared, I don't know what a smidge is." But again, we weren't engineers. We just knew what we needed, or you knew what you wanted.
Nothing was really. There was not a lot of hand drawings back then on things and prints and stuff. It was basic.
Pioneers.
Yeah.
For real, you guys are pioneers. That's cool. I just recently found this out, but Vapor Trail was officially incorporated in July of 2000, naming you the president of the company. Jared's on the contract, or on it as vice president, and then with Greg Bratner as the secretary.
Yep.
But tell the story of how you originally got involved, because I know you were doing some construction stuff and delivering pizzas and all that, but how did that all, do you remember how that came about?
Well, there's like almost two stages, because when we started in that, Jared started in 93 and he did most of the stuff himself. I'd go over there, see what he was doing and stuff, because we both had these bare compound bows. I can't remember the name of them, but they were just real basic.
Right.
And Jared was perfecting things, working with different materials, because even back then they had, I don't remember exactly what materials they had.
452X.
No, I don't think 452X even, maybe a 452, a 450 or something like
okay.
that.
Yep.
And then he was monkeying with those. I guess to test them, there was no other than just using them.
Right.
So you had to shoot them. We didn't have any machines or anything like that to see what kind of stretch or anything like that.
Right.
And you'd have to look at your peep sight, because back then everybody had that rubber cord on their peeps, so nobody even thought about peep twist because the rubber cord was there.
Right. Yeah.
But basically had the basement, and he did that. Once he started getting serious and stuff, and he's like, "Hey, we could get some accounts," and then I got on board, and Bratner was not involved back then. This was
right.
We dealt with like Capras. And there was a couple other small shops around this area that we dealt with.
Okay.
And then it was kind of funny. The strings back then, it was like, I swear we were like selling them for like $6 or $8. And me and Jared were kind of having an argument that we weren't going to make money doing that. And he swore that we had to, because there was another guy making, his name was, God, I can't remember his name, but it was Sticks and Strings, I think. And he was selling them for like $3. Jared's like, "Oh, we can't do this." Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We can't pay somebody that much to build one.
So
I mean,
when we were doing that stuff, finally Winner's Choice came along, and they were asking like $50, and I'm like, no way. But that was the best thing that could happen, because it brought that price into a range that could be profitable for somebody doing it.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So again, like, did Jared was just like, "Man, I'm getting overwhelmed. I need some help," or how did?
I think we had like 3 accounts back then. One was like in Wisconsin, might have been Little John's shop. I don't remember.
Compound Doctor.
Well, the Compound Doctor was one of them. And then I don't know if you had archery experts back then, and I think they were coming in just a little bit later after that.
Right.
St. Croix, I believe, out there was a shop. But then we went from that transition, and then I kind of got out of it because it wasn't really doing anything. And then it was later on in 2000 when between Brent Larson and Jared, they got the Bowtech. A little bit of Bowtech stuff.
Okay.
And then they needed help.
Right.
And I was doing construction, and I'd go in my basement and you put a jig
Help
there,
out.
and and do so many hours. And then Bratner got involved, and he was doing it in his basement. We'd be on headsets, at home. Back then we had those wired ones,
Like
we were
Walkmans?
and we were like timing how long it would take to do something, and we'd be like, okay, I shaved 2 seconds off. Bratner, he was really detailed.
Yeah. I just remember when I first met you guys and I came up to pick up a set of strings and cables for Sportsman's Warehouse. And I just remember, man, you guys were just swamped. Like Jared his favorite phrase was, I'm getting a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest.
It's like being a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest.
Yeah. And so that always cracked me up, but I was like, hey, do you need some help? And then so I just watched him build a string, and I think you actually taught me eventually. But that was in the Ham Lake, the first Ham Lake location by Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And so when was that the operation moved from the basement to that first location? Because I think
that had to be right around 2003, 4, right around there.
Okay. Because it was like
maybe 5 at the most.
06 or 07, I think, is when I first met you guys. I first moved down here in June of 06. So,
because we were doing that was the Botec days, and running all over the place. We had people up in, that's when we had the people up in the iron range up there building strings, and we'd have to pick them up, and we'd bring them back, and then we'd run the servings on them, and all they did was tie.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was family, right? Cousins or something?
Well, there's quite a few different people up there, because there's some people in Cloquet, and then the cousins, and then some other cousins. Yeah. And
just all over the place. And now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought I had heard the story of Jared at ATA sitting at the bar wearing the Vapor Trail hat with the red hat with the black flames on it. And Paul Gotze came over.
Yeah.
Paul Gotze came over and said, "Man, I really like your hat." And then they sat down and started talking. And is that kind of how that Botec
I
thing?
wasn't there.
Okay.
Because Jared just tagged along with Double Bull that year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
right.
he ran into the Gotze at the bar, and I don't know if he gave him that hat or what, but yeah, the Paul Gotze, I remember that story.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. He's like, I still remember when I met your brother in the bar. You guys were nobody.
I love that story. That's great. And Paul, his shop is still up, but he sold.
Double G Archery.
Yeah. Sold to, ironically, another guy by the name of Paul. So every time he calls, it's kind of confusing. But I think Paul consulted for them for a year now. I think he's out. But anyway, we still deal with them too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, great guys.
And I guess you already kind of touched on how you kind of adapted to that rapid growth, because the Botec thing just took off fast, right? Like
immediately. Yeah. And it was small at first, it was just, it was like 1 or 2 bows that we were doing it for. I think it was like the Patriot and something else we were building strings for. And that's kind of where we got into the different string fibers and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's where VTX became, because there was a material kind of shortage at the time. I think it was the Spectra fiber was being used in like bulletproof vests and stuff like that. And
was that
fishing
TS1
nets and stuff? Yeah, and it just got absorbed into, so we started running low. And there was TS1 is what Botec was using.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden they had to change it because of that material shortage. Mm-hmm. And because TS1 was like Tim Strickland 1, and then they came out with the TS1 Plus, I think it was, or something like that. And just was not the same material. It was inconsistent and stuff, and it was really bad. And Botec was having problems with it.
Okay.
So then we started monkeying around, but they Bronell got them on something else, or I think at that time.
Okay.
But we decided, because we were using TS1 for our material too. It was a real great material, but couldn't get it anymore. So that's when VTX was born.
Yeah, and so that kind of comes into play with Vectran then, right? Or had it already been?
I think Vectran was already out there. It was just playing with the composition of those materials.
Right. Okay. And then So I remember. So I kind of took a little bit of a break. I moved to Woodbury, and I wasn't building for a little while there. I was out for like a year or so, and then when I came back, now you're in a new building. So just down the road, maybe I don't know, it was a
Bigger building.
Yeah, bigger building. And so then that's when I really kind of got started doing customs. I love doing cam and a halves, man. Like Hoyt stock ones where you didn't have to. Back then, we didn't even have to have a chart.
No.
There was probably no string stops.
Because the one serving was always consistent, and then you just adjusted the other 2 servings, the center and the right side.
Yeah, the only oddball thing that we would have to build from time to time would be like a Darton with a CPS cam where you'd have a longer serving on one side. Otherwise, that was it. Everything was in your head. You could build it, and then we had to start making little drawings. So everybody would have their own drawing, and I'm gonna bring on the video. I still have a stack of those. Cards. I'll bring up a couple of those so everybody can see the transition from what we went to.
Who's got the Matthews chart?
Yeah,
here it is.
Yeah, exactly. It was wild. There's no way we could survive that right now. No. It would be impossible.
You would have a lot of paper all over the place. Holy smokes!
We have tens of thousands of spec sheets now. I mean, it's nuts. It's insane. So, and to the point where stock is just getting phased out because there's nothing stock anymore. You know. But yeah, it's crazy. That shop, a lot of good memories in that shop. I remember a lot of shenanigans, rubber bands, and door traps. All of us in that shop, all of us were snipers with rubber bands.
Oh yeah.
Especially after David Fry came and showed us how to shoot we never knew there was a way to shoot a rubber
band. The American sniper, the vapor trail sniper.
Yeah. Like you can literally rifle a rubber band. You can shoot it in a special way where it just shoots like a
way
sniper.
Farther accurate. ATA shows people hid when they were they're near the vapor trail booth.
We got so good at it we could float rubber bands and like drop them on people's heads
as they're talking to
they'd be sitting there talking, all of a sudden doing rubber band comes
and you'd
down.
be so far away they didn't even know where it came from.
Looking around all crazy. So yeah, we did some cool pranks. I've got one in mind that I think is crazy, but I want to ask you, like, what is one of the ones that stands out in your mind? Like, what's one of the favorite pranks, like elaborate ones that we did?
Well, we did the water ones in the shop all the time, and I just, the people would come through the door, and remember Sonny?
Oh yeah,
like we got shot or something. And it was all on video too, so we got to replay it and enjoy it more than once.
Well, one of my favorites was, so we had this young gal working up front. Her name was Amber, and she had a key fob or whatever, and was saying, I don't remember, she was saying something to Jared like, there's no way anybody's stealing my car.
Yeah, because cars are being stolen or something.
The only way they can steal a car is if they got this fob or whatever. So we're like, all right. Well, we had these little jacks, right, that you could put one on each tire.
Jack the car.
This was elaborate. We had like 8 people involved, right? Jared was the distraction. We got it on camera where Jared's talking to her, and you can see in the background.
Her car's within sight that you can see, so you have to.
And the way the video worked out was perfect too, because so she's distracted. We got a couple guys out there jacking up her car on these jacks. We got Steve parked his truck down at the other end of the drive or the parking lot, so we could
hide it on the other side.
So we could hide it on the other side. Meanwhile, Jared's talking to her, and you can see in the reflection of one of the pictures, you can see us pushing the car. If I got to see if I can find that video, and we got her car on the other side. She really thought her car got stolen. She's like, "Where's my car? Oh my god, my car's stolen."
They don't have this. How could they take my car? Your key thing. Well, they got it.
Oh man, we had some good times there. All the crazy stuff. David Fry, your brother Tony.
Oh yeah,
he is just
every
hilarious.
day.
Yeah. Good times there.
Made the days easier, though.
Yeah. Well, it did eventually get to a point where I remember Jared just lost it. He was
like,
that's it. No more.
No more rubber bands.
No more.
Yeah, I remember that one story of the water bottle, but we won't go into that. Matt Fry. He's out of line.
Oh, yeah. He'd fart in my water bottle all the time. I'd come in and I'd try to take a sip of my water, and there'd be a bunch of hazelnuts in there, and then he'd go, "How my nuts taste?" oof. I threw that bottle in the trash. I was like, just the thought of only one piece of fabric separating the mouth of my water bottle from his, anyway.
No thanks.
All right. Well, hey, and one other thing too. We talked about this in our first. This is our first official episode, but we also have an intro one that Hollywood and I did, and so we wanted to talk a little bit about how your name was coined, and that's the building that you got your name. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time remembering it myself, but I think it was Jared.
Yeah,
Jared,
it was me.
Jared was always the one-liner and the nickname giver.
I had like 20 nicknames for the record. You got one.
Yeah, yours might not be air appropriate, but
yeah, mine were all not.
There ain't no superhero ones like yours.
Yeah, no.
Freaking Superman.
I think the biggest way my name came about was when these guys hired me. I was in high school and I'd come in, fresh from school.
Big pimpin'.
Yeah, I had all my
All
attire
dressed
on.
up.
Yeah. All dressed up, looking good for school. And I'd come in and, everyone else is just like how I am now, just blue jeans, sweatshirt, whatever, who cares? And I would be there with, the khaki pants, pink shorts, if you guys remember those.
Oh yeah. The pink flamingo shorts.
So I just had the wackiest colors, everything. And this was about the time when, if anyone remembers, the Hollywood Hunter, he was around. And I think it was between Jared and Steve going, man, you're just Hollywood, just so dressed up, just looking so clean, so fly for here, whatever. And so it was just Hollywood. Right from there is, I don't know, it just kind of took off. And then I had a Hollywood star that I remember Keenan made me. I still have it. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of stuck from there. And
I remember when he switched it over a little bit too, and he started calling you Holly Weird.
Oh yeah, that's right. If people know me, I can make some fun comments too. So.
Right.
So hey, the pink shorts.
Yeah, we should probably circle on that one. There's a really good memory with that one.
Yeah.
At your desk.
I think I don't know if it was Kelly or Amber or who worked there at that time.
It was Cass.
Oh, and he had to do that.
The printer.
The cartridge.
You got the inker, the toner all over him.
The ink bomb on his pink shorts.
So I was originally customer service for about a year and a half, and that was part of it. We print labels, and the good old cartridge on the printer would start dying out, so you had to shake it a little bit. And
we'd get every bit of toner out of those we could. Man.
The one day I had my pink shorts on, heat of busy season, I shake it, and that thing explodes right in front of Steve, right all over, right on my pink shorts. They were black and pink forever.
We were so glad to see that.
Gone were the pink shorts.
Yep.
I just always think too, where it'd be like, Steve, man, we need a new cartridge. He's like, did you shake it? Yep. How many times? 10. Do it 10 more.
Yeah,
hey man,
all for the environment.
It's business, man. You gotta keep the bottom line down. I get that.
God, there's so many more stories but we don't want to get too caught into that because people will think we never worked.
Well, it's like how it is here now with Fridays. I don't know if you've seen some of them, but all I was hearing, like in church, I'd go to church and people would be like, "Oh man, those Fridays are hilarious. Do you guys even do any work? It's like all you do is drink." And I was like, boy, we might have to rethink what we're doing here. There you go.
Where'd you find that old?
There's the hat,
that looks
man.
like the Gotsy one.
That is the shake and bake hat.
That's the Talladega Nights.
Redneck flames on there.
Yeah.
That is the hat. We still have one.
That guy goes way back, man.
That is the hat.
I do have some other hats that are on top of my thing that I've had through the days. Who knows? We'll see. And shirts.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you've got a classic one on there. That's a custom, probably one of a kind.
One of one.
Yeah.
After I got it, everybody's like, "Oh,
I want that."
Like, dude, it was a special order.
It's $1,000 and I'll make you one. So we already talked about the VTX blend. What about limb-driven technology? I know you played more of a critical role in the design of that. Tell me a little bit about how that kind of came to fruition.
I can't remember exactly what brought it on because that was when, back in that time, Trophy Taker. I think it was Trophy Taker was the first one, and everybody thought it was real good that the rest, got out of the way real quick. So it'd drop and pull her down. That it'd be holding it up, and that spring immediately would pull that thing down as soon as the bow freaking was let off. Well, I don't know if we were trying to adjust some bows or what, but I think that's when the screws started turning in Jared's brain.
Right.
He's like, I got something. And I mean, if you remember right, when we first started doing that, it was based off of Tiger Tough was the name of the rest.
Yeah, the flipper.
And we used like their bracket and stuff, and we just added a couple pieces on, changed some stuff, and we actually asked them if they wanted to be involved with us, and they turned us down on the rest.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Wow.
And to think about what it's become now, and the first time I ever saw one was when I was working at Sportsman's in Fargo. Eric Dunrud was the first one to introduce me to that, and yeah, I mean, it just, and I was just really starting to get into bow hunting then. I was shooting a bow since I was 16, but it wasn't until then that I really got into it. So I have never really, other than a Tiger Tough that I had in my Nova, I've only had limb drivers. Aside from, of course, all the other arrow rests that we would tune, whether it was through Vapor Trail or through, Sportsman's. But man, yeah, and then, just to think how other companies kind of started to pick up on it, and now it's become a staple. You've got cable driven or limb driven, and so it's pretty cool that we take a lot of pride in telling everybody we originated that,
By far.
Like the limb driver is like the vice grip of the vice grips, right?
Yep.
Like there's a lot of locking pliers out there, but there's only one vice grip, right? And it's still such a huge part of our company. And so kind of fast forwarding a little bit, I'm gonna kind of blaze through some of the history here again. 2011, I believe this is the year. Jared Meyer was hired as the general manager, position that was preceded by Mike Anderson and then Cody Andrews before him, correct?
Yep.
I worked with Mike Anderson at Sportsman's Warehouse for a number of years prior to him coming to Vapor Trail, and then Cody, I only knew him through.
You and Cody danced at the ATA show.
We did. Little do-si-do. I think he twirled me. He did. He did. There's probably some people out there right now that are going, that's who those two guys were. They probably tell stories still about these two guys that were dancing.
Kind of funny. There's been several dancing videos of you, with what's her name?
Judy.
Yeah.
Judy from Buffalo Jump. Yeah.
She still says hi.
Yeah. Well, Rick was dancing.
She's such a sweet lady. I had to do everything I could to get that lady to buy a limb driver. Okay.
Yeah, she was a tough cookie, man.
She's awesome.
So Ears is credited for many of the limb driver modifications and the development of the Gen 7 series of arrow rests. On top of being the face of the company for nearly a decade, he eventually moved on to become a very successful ALC realtor in Southeast Colorado. So if anybody's looking for land, Southeast Colorado, look up Ears. Just wanted to give him a little plug.
A commission or something?
Must be something there.
We'll see.
Here to buy some property.
We'll see. Ears. Make sure you let Ears know that you heard it here on the Vapor Trail The Range podcast, so that I can get my cut.
Use promo code Ricky.
Okay, fast forward a couple more years. November 2014, an unforeseen tragedy changed the course of Vapor Trail. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into the weeds with that. Spring is here, and turkey hunting is in full swing. Successfully killing a turkey with a bow is extremely challenging, so after you notch that tag, be sure to give your bow some love by installing a brand new set of Vapor Trail VTX bowstrings. Our proprietary VTX material with sci-fi technology, set it and forget it, is proven to hold up better in varying weather conditions, includes a lifetime service guarantee against manufacturer defects, and are available in thousands of color combinations to match your custom archery setup. With our 3-day ship guarantee, you can be back up and running in no time flat. Contact your local dealer or give us a call at 888-BOWSTRING. That's 888-BWSTRNG. Quit your crying and have confidence in your equipment with Vapor Trail VTX bowstrings. Steve, in November of 2014, I remember getting a phone call from you. You said Jared died, and the impact was felt throughout the archery industry. Tell us a little bit about that time.
Well, that just, that was one of those things that was so unexpected, because he's young. So,
Yeah.
you don't, maybe a car accident or something like that. But yeah, when I got the call from, I don't even remember who it was, from Jared's girlfriend or one of the kids or whatever. But yeah, lost my brother, lost my partner. I mean, so it was just, I spent more time with him almost than I did with Monica.
Right. Yeah.
And the kids.
Yeah.
For a long time there. So, and then just wondering about Vapor Trail's future. I mean, it was like, and you and Ears stepped up. Couldn't have done it.
Yeah. Yeah. We had to. That was a tough.
Yeah.
tough time.
It
Yeah.
was.
That was crazy.
Yep, for sure.
So what I thought would be kind of fun was to go around the table a little bit and just talk about one of our favorite memories with Jared. And I want to start with Steve. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 or 10 or however many you want to talk about.
Well, if you're just talking like memorable things, God, yeah, I think about when he was doing motocross and all that stuff, and
Oh yeah.
and then I think back to the shop and stuff, and when my brother Tony and Jared kind of got into it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm the president. And I was like, wow, my brother just really freaking strung his. Oh, because Jared never got worked up. It was always me, right?
Very rarely,
It was always
yeah.
me, like having to try to lay the law down.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting back smiling.
Talk to
I
me.
didn't have to do it.
Talk to me like that. I'm the president. He said.
Oh yeah, but other times when we were in Africa, or
Yeah,
I remember
right.
when we were in Missouri hunting at I don't know if it was Tombstone Ranch at that time or not, but with Danny,
Yeah.
and we were turkey hunting, and I just remember Jared getting up. It was like 4:00. We were in like these bunk beds, and I look over and he grabs his tin. He's not even out of bed yet. Throws a chew in.
4 in
And
the
I think the
morning.
night before he left one in there when he went to bed all night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, since you got it fresh on the tip of your tongue there, Hollywood, what's your favorite memory?
Well, I don't know. He obviously, well, you guys, I think, all hired me, but it was just good times. I was getting, shooting the crap with him and just getting, I don't know what you want to call it, teased, whatever,
Yeah.
tossing crap back and forth at each other. But
Were you getting bullied?
maybe.
Maybe a little bit.
No, it was good though, because I kind of came in. I don't know if anyone else really was a target shooter there, but Jared, I mean, he shot at Vegas, and so that was huge for me to kind of pick his brain on target shooting.
Yeah.
And he gave me a lot of pointers. But one of the biggest things that I still like when I meet him again, I'm just gonna punch him in the shoulder like we used to do. It's just like I left him when I went to college that year, 2014. Like, I'm coming back to kick your butt.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick your butt. And he's like, oh, yeah, we'll see. We'd always tease, like, who's going to win against who, but his back was messed up at the time. And I remember telling him that. And then Kyle actually called me that night. I was working at Shields in Mankato, and that happened. And I was just like, man, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You don't expect it. And I'm like, to this day, he still probably could kick my butt, but I'm just like, dang it, I never got to shoot against him. I wanted to. It's just like, that's my last thing I left him with. I'm like, God dang it, never got that chance.
He would always show up for those things. He would show up when there
yeah.
was time to.
Yeah.
Because we had at the old shop. Well, yeah, at the old shop.
Yeah.
Remember that thing we had? Did you ever shoot it? It was that little target, and you do golf on it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
We had all kinds of
We
stuff.
still have those.
We still do.
We have them here, actually. We moved them from there. Yeah, I could never beat him either. He wouldn't pick up a bow for months. And I would my nerves would get me, and
He was just too steady.
yeah. And then when we started I think we did the Vapor Trail Pro-Am 1 year, and then the next year we turned it into the Jared Fondie Memorial Shoot. And I shot it, and I took first place in bow hunter division. And it was like one of the first competitive paper shoots I'd ever done. And I swear to this day, Jared was guiding that arrow because I have no idea how that happened. I mean, I beat out Jake Orovitz, and wow, I think he took second place. So I got to attribute some of that. I'd like to say it was luck, but I like to proclaim that it was Jared guiding those arrows because that was cool. So, but I would, one of my favorite memories, or a lot of my favorite memories, were just up at his cabin, across from Bummer's place.
Yep.
We had a lot of good times up there, and then even up in Big Lake, bear hunting. Man, one of the things that comes to mind immediately is when I filmed him shoot that bear, that big one that we never found, and
big fat round one.
Yeah, got it on video and everything. I'll see if I can drag it up for the YouTubers, but. Yeah, and then we went back in to try to find it, and that
was the worst tracking ever for a bear because we had that pack of wolves.
Real
close. They must have crossed the path, we figured.
Yeah.
And it was real tangled crap. You couldn't, you're crawling, so you're really compromised. If something happened, you were dead. And I had a gun, and Panzer had a gun, and everybody else, nothing, the flashlight.
Well, I remember, too, I was, like, working my way through the woods and everything, and I don't know if it was you or Panzer were like, hey, let me get ahead of you, and I was like, well, I got my bear spray. Both of you guys like, let the guys with the guns in the front. So I was like, okay, I guess I don't need this then. But, yeah, I mean, those were some really good times. So fast forward 2016, John Betker joins the team as the sales and marketing director. Many of you may know him as our beer drinking Where's Waldo / Santa Claus / weatherman / Olympic medalist from some of our best Fridays. Johnny's been a critical part of our operation, and his contributions to this company are too many to list. Fast forward to 2020. Vapor Trail Inc. is acquired by Rory O'Loughlin and his brother Patrick. So I wanted to get a little bit into that too. What made you decide to sell the company, and how did that feel? Did you have any, I don't know if you'd call it seller's remorse shortly thereafter, or was it just like, oh man, just like, don't got to deal with Rick and ears anymore?
No. We had looked at it a few times, even when Jared was still alive, because we went out to Redmond Minerals.
I remember Redmond, yeah.
And because they were thinking about, Trophy Rock was looking at it, and that just didn't fit. And then Jared ended up passing away, like probably 6-8 months later, I think.
Yeah.
And we had been contacted all the time. There's letters coming in, people saying, okay, acquisition, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think it was in 2015 or 16, something like that. I looked at, Plano Synergy, I think it was.
Okay.
And that deal, right 2 weeks to the day, before it was supposed to happen, there was some things that we just couldn't get, they threw something at me and I didn't like it. So walked away from it. Because, and then there was another individual that was looking at it too, but didn't feel the fit was good there. And that was at the same time as Plano Synergy. And then there was another group after that before Rory, but the one group wanted me to terminate the top 3.
Yeah.
And I was like the day before, and I'm like, that's not happening. So, in each one of those deals, you took, 5-6 months to put in paperwork.
Right.
I mean, you probably see
time, money,
twice there and stuff. And, wasn't that you wanted to be secretive, but, if you always worried about your guys like, well, I'm out of here.
Right,
well,
yeah. Yeah, totally get that.
The company becomes worth less, because you need people to run it after, the guy leaves that, was doing it. So.
Yeah, and I mean, super grateful for that, you know what I mean, to just knowing that you guys were advocating for us, the entire time. And here I am still,
Yeah.
And so, again, so super grateful about that. That's one of the reasons why I stuck with you guys for as long as I did. It was just, I got myself in a few financial ruts, and you guys helped me out, and I stayed good on my promise and got you back, and you know what I mean. So we gained a lot of trust, and so again, I've always really appreciated that, and ever since, it's just I've always tried to, anytime there's any sort of struggle or anything like that when it comes to being employed with Vapor Trail, which that's how it is with any job you have. But I always think about that. It's like, I want to continue the legacy. You know what I mean? I want to keep it going. I want you guys to be proud of what we're doing. So,
well, and I still remember back, when you guys stuck with me too, after Jared, hey, you guys could have lost hope or whatever, and
right.
Who knows what I would have had to do and stuff.
Right.
I think next year, that 2015, we absolutely kicked ass on strings. I think it was just a whole different meaning at that point. It's just like, like as far as a builder standpoint, is like, nah, we're not letting this down. This is for you guys.
Well, and it wasn't just like, the three top guys either, because I don't even know if Johnny was quite on board for the first time, but it was like the whole crew. It was like, because there was a lot of guys, Murphy and Jake and all them guys that have been a long time. I mean, been with us a long time. I'm like, if they want to move on, they can do that, but
right.
I don't want to sell their job, have it move somewhere else.
Right.
Well, it's kind of crazy too, because it's like, hearing that from another company, they might think, well, it's just another company we're getting. It can't be that hard to continue it if they're trying to continue strings. But there's a whole different aspect to it. Like, you can't just hire anyone off the street. We know you can't.
The training process.
It's just, you can't get rid of those top guys that know things.
Yeah.
It's just not feasible.
Yeah, Murphy and some guys who are knowledgeable. There's going to be a strict learning curve there, but yeah. It definitely would have put a damper on
the product would have suffered,
Yeah.
And that you probably see that with other companies that something similar happens.
Yep. For sure.
Fortunate.
So, what are your thoughts about where we are now? I mean, could you have imagined back in 2000 when you guys signed that thing? Would you imagine be sitting here right now talking to us?
This big, huge building, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I'd be like, boy, they shut the doors. Heat's going. No, Rick left the air on. Oh, but yeah, this is amazing. And, the pro shop, me and Jared had struggled with that a little bit, because we had conversations about that. And I know he really wanted to do it. And I'm like,
right.
There's just dealers around here. They're going to walk right away, and they're going to say, well, I ain't competing with the guy that I'm buying them from.
Yeah.
Just ain't going to work.
Yeah.
And, that was probably the main concern.
Right. Yeah. And, going into this whole thing too, I had concerns, about burning some bridges, and, it's kind of a 50-50 split. I think, we've got some that are not particularly happy, and it's not our goal to really put anybody out of business at all. But it's just, it's part of growth and getting to where we want to be. And why not, starting a pro shop, it's such a dealer rich area around here that, we've seen a lot of shops come and go. It's really hard to do, but with us having the back of the manufacturing facility and all that, it just makes sense,
Right.
And everybody loves it. And it's part of why we wanted to start this podcast and why we've called it The Range, because Hollywood and I are trying to bring back that wolf track feel, where you'd go and you had a key to get in the building and you could go 24/7.
Pizza oven.
Exactly.
Funny thing is, I used to work at Tasty Pizza back then, and I deliver pizza to these guys at Wolf Track.
Yeah.
Really?
Shooting bow and arrows.
Yep. We'd go, me and Ben and Randy Herman, and we'd go shoot our league, and then we'd go to the old Piper Inn before it burned and is now new now, but back before, and have a couple beers, and it was just a blast. And I remember seeing so many people there that I still see around in the area, in the archery industry. So we just want to try to bring that back.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't think it's really, Vapor Trail never looked at competing with their dealers, and we were always really accommodating to that.
Right.
We'd call them and say, hey, we got an order, we're gonna run it through you and stuff like that. Even.
Yep.
So I think we were always real considerate of the dealer, but you never know how they're going to react, because.
Yep. And we still try to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes we'll have a guy in the pro shop that wants to buy a set of bowstrings, but then they're going to bring him down to Bowana And it's like, well, okay, we'll just take your order, and then we just run it through
Right,
Kiwanis, and then we just say, just go down there and you can pick it up there, and they can do it all,
Right.
So we still try to do that when we can.
Yeah.
But
the range is a great idea, especially 40 yards indoor.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of guys that come in here, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Met a few different guys that come in right around the area.
Yeah, and I think we've got a little over 40 members now, right?
We're closing in on 60, and that's just
wow.
the single card holders, and that's not including the families with 5 or whatever.
Right.
So I mean, now that we're getting to spring, we'll see what happens. A lot more guys start turning into outdoors, but
it'll dip a little.
Yeah, we were doing really well there. So
it kind of works out perfect that way too, because traffic is going to increase simply because people are going to want to shoot more,
right.
Even though it's outside. But yeah, so it's been fun too. Like, it's cool to be able to go shoot on your break, and you don't have to go, hey Jake, go have a cig.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for the people that don't know, we had a range. We could shoot 20 yards in the old shop, but there was a couple of string jigs right down the hallway, and then there was 2. When we left, there was 4.
Yeah.
And so then we'd have to kick 4 people out so that we could shoot. And then the loft ended up turning into a workspace as well.
Right.
So
Our deer stand loft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. That got expanded, and man, we were just bursting at the seams. I mean, it was, we had to go vertical, and then it got to the point where it's just like we brought in Stokerized, and I was like, where are we going to put all this stuff? And shockingly, when I came back from my leave after my daughter was born, they somehow made it work and fit it in there. But so that kind of brings us up to speed as far as your involvement, Steve. We're gonna have, in a future episode, we're gonna have an interview with the current CEO and president of Vapor Trail, Rory O'Loughlin. So we'll continue the story from there on a different episode. But let's, that being said, what else is going on with you right now? You've always been really big into turkey hunting. I know you're going to give me a hard time, but last year I shot a turkey with a shotgun.
Disappointing.
I know you are. I know you. So many years I was like, I'm going to a shotgun, and Steve would be like, don't do it, man. That's taking the easy way out. That's never the way to go about it. So there I'd go, drag my bow out there and get disappointed.
I still wear a deer hunt. I'm the only guy archery. Everybody else is thunderstick, and I'm like, boy, just go shoot a pop can out there.
Yeah.
100 yards.
Yeah. Dude, you remember that spot you used to hunt right by my house? That field now it's all homes now. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
Right off of
Turkey
Xylite.
hunt.
Yeah. Yep, all homes now.
Yep.
And
that's how it is everywhere.
And I see turkeys in there all the time. More than I did before. Hanging out by the houses, 30 of them.
Me and Monica were at the Coon Rapids Dam yesterday, taking Stella for a walk, and I saw some deer out there.
Yeah.
Buck's still at his antlers.
What?
Both.
Really?
Wow.
Holy cow.
That's
surprising with how much
know,
snow.
April.
And I mean, I feel like this winter is pretty rough. I think usually they drop them earlier if it's a rough winter.
Well, is it kind of true what they say that younger bucks hang on to them a little longer? Or am I thinking of that wrong? Were they bigger deer?
No, well, the one deer was like probably 6 or 8 pointer basket.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Just like the ones you like to shoot.
Yeah. All day long, baby. All day long.
Hey, when at first Ricky freaking didn't have a big one until you got that one, on the Metro hunts.
The Metro.
And you put your hours in, the turkeys, everything was just pounding
gosh.
you.
Yeah, I had the one good year. I think it was 2011. I shot a whitetail, a mule deer, a turkey, a bear.
Jeez.
And then ever since then, I'm like the worst hunter there is. But no, yeah, 2017, I got my booner, and then the year after that, then I got my second biggest whitetail. Again, Metro hunts, but yeah, I mean, a lot of time spent in the woods, and passing on a lot of deer, man. Because I've always tried to. I'm never picky in the beginning, but I always want to try to one up every time as best I can. But now with that whitetail that I have, it's kind of like, all right, well, I may never shoot another deer again.
Yeah, good luck on that one.
Yeah, so you lower the standards a little bit, but
You can always shoot a doe, unless you're looking for a trophy. If you're anything, Pope and Young and stuff like that.
oh, there's not a
So
doe.
you can have your 22 freaking Pope and Youngs like Cody. At age 19.
Three of them roadkill. Yeah. Oh man, I hope he doesn't hear this.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, there's not a doe that's safe walking by me. I won't hesitate to lace a doe ever, unless it's two of them right in a row. I mean, although I have done that, I can only eat so much meat. And again, right. I don't have a problem donating deer. I don't want to donate it to like a food shelf or something. I want to give it to a family that I know is going to use it because I know where it's going. So if I have, usually Weiss is a guy that I can call up and he'll take one, or I got a few people, but I always want to have it lined up. But yeah, I'll never let a doe go by if I can help it.
Unless they're little ones.
No. I'll let him have it.
I was trying to give him some outs.
Nope. I'll let him have it. Spots.
Let him eat.
Spots or not, baby.
I do remember your raccoon hunt when you were bear hunting.
That didn't happen.
I know you didn't get anything.
Yeah.
They're a nuisance raccoon, man. They're eating.
They take all the bait.
So it's legal.
They take all the bait, man. And speaking of that, so you and I got to have a conversation about my bear hunt. But when I was bear hunting in the Boundary Waters, I shot a couple of ducks, and then I was using the carcasses as my bear bait. And it was either a pine marten or a fisher coming in and stealing them.
Oh,
Sitting there in the tree, just waiting for a bear to come along, and a pine marten would come through. And I can't do nothing because you can't shoot them. You can only trap them. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me,
Too bad you can't shoot them. That would be a nice little skin to have.
Right?
You got that skinning board
Yeah.
that you got to use.
Certainly would have been nice, no doubt about that. But so now I'm going to get really heavy into trapping.
Yeah.
So are you still getting out shooting the bow at all, or?
Well, since the fall, I always lay off through the winter. I haven't even
Yeah.
been swinging, like my golf clubs. I haven't been swinging that.
Oh,
Wanted
really?
to take some lessons or something at a bunker or something. Get better at golf.
I saw you were coaching Taylor, and she made some pretty big improvements.
Then she met her boyfriend, and
It's usually how it
now
goes,
she
huh?
does. Now she does work. She's like we were.
Yeah. Well, she's got a good teacher.
And she's got her own little company on the side that, and she's like, oh, gal, I got a lot of clients I'm turning down all the time, and I'm like,
It's a good
someday,
problem. Yeah.
someday you'll make a company or something out of it.
Right. Bring someone in to help out. What about Big Lake? What about the cabin life up there? I know you don't go up there in the winter, but you looking forward to getting up there and doing some fishing, or?
Oh yeah, it won't be as much as the springtime, maybe a little bit, but I'm going with some buddies up in June. First part of June, we're going to go up to his place, and then I'm going to Italy.
Oh,
So it's going to take a chunk from June to July up, and
lots of beaches in Italy to sit my guys.
topless.
Dude, that's awesome. That'll be a blast. So, and Jerry and Vicky, they doing okay?
Yeah. The old man, he's sleeping all the time now. He's like a dog.
More than he used
If he's not moving, he's sleeping. And he's not moving much. But no, they're doing good.
Oh my
He's not
gosh,
stealing the aluminum cans out of the shop anymore.
that's right. He hasn't been
Dumping
around.
his leaves. Boy, if he finds out where this place is.
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
They come rolling in. There's gonna be a pile of leaves in the middle of the parking
doesn't
lot.
even say hi or anything. Dumps his trash and leaves.
I've been looking for the white Dakota to come rolling through one of these days, but
He still has that. Him and my mom were coming back from up north, and they were driving that. The back window literally just fell off, and went right in the box. Didn't break or anything. But I'm like, oh my God, just get rid of that thing. I mean, it should have been 10 years ago.
Oh wow,
But
that's funny, huh? Well, no, man, this has been great. I appreciate you coming down, hanging out. Love to have you on again. If you ever have any interest, just come and shooting the shit.
yeah,
But again, just really cool to kind of fill some of those gaps, where I was a little unsure, where things kind of fit in and stuff like that. With as long as I've been with this company, it's so funny that I'm just like, man, I can't believe we've never really had many of those conversations, And it's one of those things too with Jared, all the things that I wish I could have, chatted with him about, but we had a lot of good times up at his cabin and stuff like that too. So I'll always treasure those moments and treasure the times that I had with you guys at the old shop. And you're welcome to come up here anytime and shoot, man, in the winter, whatever, that. I don't know, maybe Rory would disagree, but I'll let you in, man. No matter how much he doesn't like you.
Well, we'll get him out there. Maybe I'll wreck some of his arrows.
There you go.
That's a good idea. That's what we need to do. We need to have a
next podcast, just a CEO versus CEO shootout.
There we go.
Sounds like some kind of Trump show. You're fired.
Thanks everybody for joining us on the podcast. If you have any questions or any suggestions or concerns, make sure you feel free to reach out to us. You can find me on Instagram at ricky.wayne80, on Facebook at Ricky W. Bruley. Hollywood, as you know, you can find him at
Jake Ivy3 on Instagram and Jake Iverson on Facebook, with Hollywood, of course, following it.
And if you want to find Steve, where can they find you, bud?
Oh boy, it's a ghost.
No rely guy on TikTok.
Yep, there you go.
All right, well, thanks, bud.
All right,
thanks,
appreciate
Steve.
it.
Take it
It was a
easy,
good time.
man. We'll see ya.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And with that, we are going to pack our bows up into our cases, and we are going to leave the range. Have a good day, everybody. Vapor Trail is now offering an exclusive discount to the Range podcast listeners. Enter promo code TRP15, that's TRP15, at checkout for 15% off VTX bowstrings and Vapor Trail and Stokerized branded t-shirts, hats, and other gear.